Hello. What is setting your heart ablaze? What in your heart is wanting to be expressed right now? Are you ready to grasp this moment? Welcome to this look at the new moon in Aries. This is happening on the 17th of April at 27 degrees in the Decan of Aries III. Are you ready and willing to meet this burst of intense energy that's building up that this new moon is bringing to us? What might be coming alive in you? You've likely felt it building as all these planets are connecting up in Aries. And now finally, the moon is joining the sun and acting as this divine starter trigger. Perhaps you've got a desire or a creative urge, a direction that keeps returning to you, even if you've tried to set it aside. This question might be feeling uncomfortable. Aries is where this new moon arrives. It's cardinal and fiery. It doesn't promise us any permanence. This Decan of Aries III, where the moon and sun are meeting, offers intensity and presence, and this brief window where something can be fully lived in the present moment. Welcome to Celestial Astrology. I'm Sonia, your host, and in this video, I'm hoping to take a look at some journal prompts and rituals to help you and guide you through this time. I'll take a look at the nature of Aries, that is cardinal fire, and explore it a little bit deeper for you. We'll look at the nature of new moons. And I'll look as well at this Aries moon family cycle. What is that telling us? And who does it matter for? We'll look at the Decan of Aries III. Austin Coppock calls it Rose Ablaze, which is such a intense symbol. We'll look at the tarot correspondence, the Four of Wands, as well as a verse from T. Susan Chang that I'm calling Copper Flame. And of course, always we'll look at the astrological conversation in the sky. What is that telling us? And finally, just drawing it all together. I help you specifically to work with lunar cycles in a way that brings them into your real life, both as insight, but also as action. What can you actually do with all this astrology? What is this new moon specifically asking you for? What threads in your life do you need to pick up and run with right now? And this prepares you so you can recognize from all these things that are happening in your life, what to act and respond to specifically, and to help you recognize that and help you feel steady and grounded and know what's genuinely yours. I offer one question mini reading that's pre-recorded, and that can help you to answer any pressing questions that you have right now. And also you might want to consider upgrading to join Celestia Circle on Substack at the moment, but I will be launching a new website and you can join through there as well in future. That's coming soon. Watch this space. And we meet monthly on Zoom and we look ahead at the moon families of each month. I offer workbooks that you can track them and journal your insights so that you don't have to remember all the dates. It gives you prompts that you know what to be noticing as those dates come around. And I offer support to help you work with them. So let's move into the journal prompts for this Aries new moon. If you do journaling, you might know that it helps you just bring up things from your subconscious maybe, and it helps you join the dots of things that are happening in your life. So here are some prompts. You don't have to answer all of them, but some might be helpful just to see what's going on for you and what's relevant maybe right now. So where are you dimming your expression to maybe stay comfortable, or what you feel is acceptable to others? What would you share if you trusted that your voice has value just as it is? What would you begin now if you allowed this to be joyful instead of so serious? And if you stopped planning and thinking and just did something, what would you do first? Where are you delaying action by trying to make something sustainable too soon? And what are you afraid will actually happen if you fully show up as yourself? And also, what if this thing didn't need to last forever? Would you still choose it? And here's a simple ritual for this time. Feel free to adapt it to meet your needs and to meet your setup as well, what you have available to you. You don't have to go out and buy equipment or anything for this. Just use what you have and what's available to you. Particularly with Aries, it wants fire, directness, and action from its rituals. So I do have to put this warning in because I've learned the hard way. Always beware of fire safety, but especially at this time of focus on fire when the new moon's happening in a fiery sign. Use a safe container for any candles, or perform the ritual outdoors if that's possible for you. You never want to leave a lit candle unattended, and I'm sure you've heard all this advice before, but be aware that a ritual candle doesn't behave like a normal candle. It behaves in its own way. It has that extra spirit in it. So this always applies, but even more so when we're talking about Mars and the fire signs. So always safety first. Think twice, 3 times, and make sure that you're safe, because I've had my share of fire accidents. So before I recommend a fire ritual to you, I want to really emphasize that warning. So the ritual is to light a candle, but safely. And as you do, become aware of your living breath. Connect with your living breath and your presence in this moment. Gaze at this movement of the flame. Watch how it dances and how it responds to your breath. The two of you are one. When you've allowed enough time and you feel ready, speak out loud what you feel ready to begin, create, or express. And then allow yourself to move just like the flame. As you connect with it, as you become one with the flame, move with it. Allow your body to carry that intention forward into the flame and up and out as the flame sends its energy upwards. You might also want to, at the same time, to walk, write, speak, send in some way, but take some form of material action. And by doing this, you're creating a living bridge between your intention that was in your head and the action that you're taking out in the material world. And when you feel ready, close and acknowledge in words that this has begun. Say your thanks and then extinguish the flame. So let's look at the nature of a cardinal fire. Ruled by Mars, Aries is cardinal, which is known to be initiatory and pivotal. It is also yang, or masculine, which is experienced as outgoing and active. Fiery, it drives us to take decisive action, pursue desires, and embrace bold changes. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac and symbolizes that initial first movement, first spark of conscious life. It is also the first cardinal sign of initiation, where something begins. The spark is not fully formed or perfectly planned. It simply cannot remain unexpressed in its life force that just bursts through. As cardinal fire, it initiates through energy, burning, consuming, and fast to respond. Its move is outward, quickly, and instinctive, often before there is time to analyze or refine. It is ruled by the warrior planet Mars, which has just entered to join the stellium or focus of traditional and outer planets here. Mars is known in traditional astrology as the lesser malefic, and Saturn, also in Aries, is the greater malefic. This means that they bring events that we may experience as more challenging, difficult, or unpleasant, generally the harder side of life. Mars can cut us off from things that we may or may not want removed from our lives. It can also inflame situations, bring aggression and conflict, as well as motivation, courage, and the need to take action. This is why Mars acts through instinct and desire. Mars isn't going to wait for permission. Mars responds to what feels immediate, necessary, and real. With the new moon in Aries, with themes of autonomy and pioneering action, this new moon will seed momentum, decision-making, and a willingness to stand up for what we desire. Aries is all about this forward motion, courage, and self-determination, making this a positive time to take the first steps to break free from any constraints and assert your individuality and autonomy. Let's look at what a new moon represents. A new moon occurs when the moon joins the sun in the same part of the zodiac. The sky becomes dark. It is holding on to its secrets in the shadows, and a new lunar cycle begins quietly beneath the surface. This new moon will form at 27 degrees of Aries, at the end of this focused meeting of direct planets in Aries, as the moon joins the exalted sun. If you have planets or angles, your ascendant, MC, descendant, or IC, near these degrees of 27 Aries, this lunation will be more intense and more personal for you. It will also be the seeding of a longer moon family story in your life. So watch what enters and begins for you around this time. If we look at the moon's cycles and moon families, we can observe multiple lunar cycles all at once. This Aries moon is the beginning of a 28-day lunar month, where the moon will move through all the lunar phases before the next new moon. We can also track a 6-month cycle between a new moon and the full moon in the same sign, when what is initiated now comes to fruition 6 months later and is illuminated. This full moon may land in a different decan of the sign. For example, the Aries full moon on the 26th of September 2026 falls in the decan of Aries I. This means it may activate different individual placements and angles for personal tracking. So this is what makes the moon families different, because it returns to the same part of the zodiac. And if it's activating your degrees or angles, it will return again and again to that particular area of your chart. So the moon families were introduced by Dietrich Pessin, and the book Lunar Shadows 3 introduces an even longer cycle of approximately 27 months, and it tracks the moon's progression as it returns to the same degree range in the zodiac, from the new to the quarter, through the full and the closing phases. And this is relative to the sun. So it's the moon returning to the same degree range as the sun moves around the zodiac. The new moon marks a seeding point in this lunar family, offering an intense pull of urgency to take action and a hidden thread that weaves the narrative story arc that's beginning right now. Are you ready to participate in a new story starting in the Aries part of your chart? Here is the moon family for Aries. And you can see from this graphic, I'm showing you on the left-hand side the full phases of the moon, how it goes from dark. And we get that crescent moon as it grows in light at the first quarter. Then you get the full moon as it moves around to the left to the full moon. And then as it wanes again, you get that last quarter when you get the light on the left-hand side of the moon before it returns to the dark moon. So we've got the new moon will be on the 17th of April at 27 Aries. And then the moon will continue its monthly cycle and the sun will continue to move, but we'll get a first quarter. And that will be when the moon returns to 25 Aries. And the sun then will have moved around and we'll get the sun in a quarter position. And then a full moon when the sun is opposite in Libra. But the moon has returned to that exact third decan at 21 Aries on the 15th of October 2027. And it reignites what was begun on the 17th of April because of that moon-sun relationship progressing. And then the last quarter on the 14th of July at 22 Aries. So what begins now in your life, whether consciously or unconsciously or intentionally or not, could be challenged, may pivot as it is likely, especially in the cardinal signs, as you respond to those questions that are asked of you in these developing phases. It's going to grow, it's going to change as the moon does, as it waxes and becomes full and then wanes. It's going to grow and shrink as well, lose form. So this gives us clues about the timing and helps us understand the phase that we're in to know what we're meant to be doing with these projects or plans that we're growing. And to understand as well when it's time to release things as well, that we're not meant to be growing all the time. That there is a time for that, but there's also a time to sit back and reflect and enjoy the fruits of what we've grown, and a time to start releasing and integrating. So Aries 3, it's not a decan of beginning something stable. It's that spark of initiating fire. It begins something alive and full of movement, but something that's also going to evolve significantly as the moon moves through its phases. So this cycle, this moon family will track this ongoing development of these Aries themes. With the full moon in 18 months, in October 2027, it's going to represent this peak moment of this action, creativity, and self-empowerment, showing all that you've learned regarding what you're starting now. This moon family is going to most affect those with placements or angles within the 16 to 29 degrees range of cardinal signs. That's Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. And the reason for that is that these signs square or oppose Aries. So it's not just people with Aries placements. And those are the ones that are most loudly affected. That's the most noticeable aspects. The sextiles and the trines are a bit easier. We tend to notice them less because they go with more ease and flow. Also, those with placements within 16 to 29 degrees of the fire signs. That's Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. And that is going to be that trine aspect of flow, but also because of that fire element, you're going to be ignited, you're going to be inspired, and you're going to get support from that Aries ignition to light you up and to manifest whatever your fire placement is going to be expressing its full potential. Also, those with Mars as their perfected Lord of the Year, or Mars as their solar return chart ruler, it's going to be that little bit louder for you. It's going to be calling you to express what that chart is telling you. So if you're not sure, an astrologer can always help you. If you think that's you, you can also ask me as well to identify if your own placements are activated. And we do this work in Celestia Circle where I'm helping people to identify if it is for them or not, because if it isn't, then the time might just pass. And this isn't your cycle, it's not your time, but next month it might be you stepping up. So we identify what the moon families mean, we look into it more deeply, pulling on those threads of what the story might be, talking about what's going on in their life that week around the moon, and looking at their chart and seeing how those stories might be coming alive. So you can also comment moon family, and I'll help you if you want to share your chart details with me. And you can join Celestia Circle when you're a paid subscriber. You'll get the invitation to the live monthly Zoom meetings, you'll get the recording, and you'll also get the workbooks and support. So if you don't want to come live, if the time isn't convenient for you, you'll get the recording and the support. And you're also welcome to ask any questions and to share your chart to get help. So let's turn to look now at the Decan of Aries III, where this new moon's happening, that Austin Coppock calls Rose Ablaze. It's ruled by Jupiter and Venus, and it symbolizes creativity and passion. This new moon falls in this third decan of Aries, ruled by Jupiter and Venus, that blends fiery enthusiasm with charm and creative power. This decan has been named by Austin Coppock as Rose on Fire, symbolizing this fiery power of creation, beauty, and charisma, and how quickly it can turn to ashes, and also that consuming power of the fire. In 36 Faces, Austin Coppock speaks of the power of art, whether it is music, dance, song, or physical art, to overcome hostility and to bind people together. The transformative nature of creative passion is intense and fleeting. The opportunity for glory and creative success can be brief. So we're asked to seize the moment before that flame fades. With Venus and Jupiter both benefics co-ruling in this sign of a malefic, there is a strong pull towards creation, but also expression and visibility before that transforming or destructive event that we fear. Astrologer Kira Ryberg calls it creation. Aries III is a place of celebration and joyful self-expression. It grounds us and helps us to tune in to that creative impulse. Let's look now at the Wild Way Fearless Fox. In the Wild Way Oracle card, you can find this beautiful deck at thewildway.com. So this decan is titled Feed Your Desires. And this fox is a figure of joyful passion and fearless authenticity. The fox card encourages us to embrace the intensity of the moment and to channel our fiery creativity into something beautiful that inspires those around us. In the image, we find the fox joyfully bursting into this forest clearing and enjoying it as a stage. There's a flowering setting in front of them, like the flowers being thrown to the artist, and the trees are the backdrop. And it's embodying this spirit of authentic self-expression that we often find with the fire signs. He stands on 2 feet as he expresses this inner desire. Although it's like his paws, I like to think like he's holding a microphone and just singing his little heart out. And during this new moon, we too are encouraged to fan these flames of our creativity. Whatever's been pulling on your inner child, just whatever you used to love to express. To take this center stage with confidence and to be brave enough to inspire others with your vision. Even if they don't get it at first, they will. This is like a fleeting moment of glory where the fire burns brightest before returning to embers. Therefore, it's important to seize the opportunity and to pour everything into our passions. We're offered the keywords fiery charm, power of art and creativity and charisma. You may find freedom when you remember that not everything you create needs to endure. Sometimes you're simply meant to fully embrace the moment and then just gratefully release it. So now we move to the tarot card that's associated, which is the Four of Wands. And this is a card, as you may see from the image, which represents celebration, achievement, joy of creation. It symbolizes festivity and the culmination of efforts. The Four of Wands reflects the benefic rulers of this decan, Jupiter and Venus. In the card, we find four wands holding up a canopy of flowers in the foreground, framed by the wands, and standing centrally are a couple. They're facing the viewer. Their arms are raised in greeting or celebration, and they hold flowers. They appear well dressed in robes. And behind them are the walls of a village. It can be seen as a kind of recognition of taking the effort to mark a moment or a milestone, maybe a family celebration, perhaps a wedding. It asks us to reflect on what are you ready to recognize, celebrate, and be grateful for in your own life. What is supporting you right now? There may be something in your life that is ready for this kind of recognition, something you've built or moved through that's reached a point where it can be seen or shared or simply appreciated. At the time of the new moon, while it's bringing fresh beginnings, it's important to acknowledge your existing support. Don't overlook what's already standing. Reflect on how you might acknowledge and celebrate it, however quietly. Now we come to this beautiful verse from T. Susan Chang, which captures the essence of this decan. Hunger makes the match ignite. Its radiance is my delight. The burning rose, the copper flame, hold my hand and call my name. Refuge beckons like perfume. My soul, an open, scented room. Room to breathe is ample treasure. Brief the candle, great the pleasure. This poetic passage captures that passionate energy of Aries III, how it is fiery, radiant, scented, fleeting, and filled with that joy. The fox urges us to fan the flames of our creativity and take bold action. For the fire of inspiration won't last forever. The fox may well have the motto Carpe Diem, seize the day. We are also being asked to open our souls to inhabit this moment fully. Now we come to looking at the astrological conversation. There is a concentration of planets in Aries at this new moon. The sun and moon meet at 27 degrees and they're closely accompanied by Chiron at 26. Earlier on in the sign, we've got Saturn, Mars, Mercury, and Neptune all gathered in Aries. And the moon has met and activated each of them on its way to meeting with the sun. This focus of planets called a stellium creates a kind of pressure system in any sign, but especially in a fire sign. Energy builds in one place, it intensifies, and then it needs to be released in some form. In this youthful, initiating, explorative, and self-aware Aries, you might feel this as restlessness, or as new insight or clarity, maybe as frustration, even aggression, where something has been held back for too long. Conflicts may arise where feelings have been suppressed, and new areas of conflict may be seeded, so you might want to watch for that. Mars, the ruler of Aries, is at home in this yang masculine sign. Mars is at 5 degrees Aries and is forming a degree-based sextile to Pluto in Aquarius. At the same time, Mars is separating from exact conjunctions with Neptune and Mercury, while also applying to the greater malefic Saturn, who is in detriment in Aries. Together, these are bringing depth to the actions taken, the potential for movement and new beginnings that can alter something fundamental within you. Neptune will be dissolving previous illusions, as well as soothing some of the heat of Mars's ardor and passion. It can also bring spiritual and collective dreams into the conversation. Mercury is bringing communication and words to better work with others as we find a way forward. However, Mars may add a sharpness or directness to our words or to those that we experience from others. It's best not to take things said in the heat of the moment so personally right now. Saturn, the slowest traditional planet, is uncomfortable with the youthful, fast-moving pace of Aries. Saturn is asking Mars what the long-term plan is here, what preparations have been made, while Mars is seeking forgiveness rather than permission. Saturn and Mars will meet on the 19th of April and begin a new cycle together for the first time since their last meeting in April 2024. Mercury will join them, forming a rare triple conjunction at 7 degrees of Aries. Events that the new moon is hinting at may be activated more intensely around that time. At the same time, all of this Aries energy forms a whole sign square to Jupiter in Cancer. There may be a pull between your experience of acting independently and staying connected with others. You may find that following desires and considering emotional consequences triggers old wounds that you were not previously aware of. It may be challenging to move forward and still maintain a sense of safety. Elsewhere in the sky, Venus in Taurus has separated from a supportive sextile to Jupiter in Cancer. There may still be a sense of stability, reassurance, or ease that is supporting you, that it's so helpful to acknowledge. Remember that Four of Wands. However, Venus now applies to Uranus at the anaretic or last 10th degree of Taurus. This can shift the experience in the Taurus part of our charts and lives. Uranus has been transiting Taurus since 2018, causing disruption, awakenings, and bringing sudden new insights. This will be the closing act when the loose ends are tied up as Uranus meets with Venus, the ruler of Taurus, for their final sign-off. Something unexpected may enter your life, or something familiar may begin to move in a new direction around the 24th of April that reinforces the message of the lunation. Carpe diem, seize the day. And a separate look at Chiron because it's so close to the new moon. The moon will be separating from this conjunction with Chiron in Aries, which blends the themes of Aries' push for autonomy with this opportunity for deep healing, particularly around issues of self-identity, autonomy, self-worth, the fear of asserting ourselves, and the wounds that we carry around when we assert our desires. What happens? Have others told you not to speak up, or that your voice isn't worthy? Chiron in Aries is about healing these wounds, related to feeling powerless or unable to act on our own behalf. This new moon encourages us to face these vulnerabilities head on, offering us a new path or an insight to turn that pain into a strength that can help others. The presence of Chiron brings an opportunity for healing through vulnerability and courageous self-expression. This is a call to heal through taking some form of action. This may be an uncomfortable process as we are asked to revisit old wounds, especially those with our sense of self-worth or the feeling of being stifled or silenced. Yet through this discomfort, we can move towards empowerment, where the old wounds that once held us back can propel us forwards into the new story. So finally, we return again to this burning question of the lunation. What wants to be expressed, and will you grasp the moment? The Aries new moon brings this fiery passion, challenges requiring bold action, and deep healing potential. Ruled by Mars and conjunct Chiron, the lunation is asking us to confront these old wounds, to embrace our personal power, and to act on our deepest desires. We discussed how this is a time to express these desires rather than attempt to build lasting structures. It's the time to acknowledge and celebrate what has offered you support. You don't need to hold on to it, especially if the old wounds are returning. You have an opportunity now to transmute pain or old wounds into something that's more supportive. But don't worry right now about the need to make it permanent. This third decan of Aries is inviting us to celebrate creative breakthroughs and to seize the moment, knowing that this fire of inspiration burns brightly but briefly. Allow this copper flame to dance. Enjoy the scent of the rose and be willing to see what is fertilized by the ash that remains after that brief moment of intense expression. This is a new moon to feed your desires, to take that bold action and embrace your creative power. Trust this process of transformation. Allow yourself to step into any spotlight that's offered with authenticity and courage. Do allow time for self-care, to heal old wounds and create something that inspires you and drives you on to bigger and better ideas. I'm so excited for everybody. And if you've enjoyed this, I know we always say it, but please do remember to engage with this video. It really does help with algorithms, especially for small channels, just as an exchange for the time and energy that I've put into this work. I really appreciate your comments. Those that do comment, I'm so grateful for you. Thank you. Tell me your experience of this Aries moon. Tell me what's being seeded for you. And also, if you've got any questions, I'm happy to help. Okay, thank you. Travel well, friends.